You are watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, bringing you your daily dose of business and technology to educate, empower, and inspire small business owners. Be sure to subscribe to the show today.
Welcome back to another episode of the Good Morning Gwinnett Show. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney, bringing you a daily dose of business and technology. I got a great guest with me today. But before I get to my guest, I want to say thank you to Roland Martin and his team for bringing me on last night. I really appreciated that. We were talking about Chatbot Engineer, the Chatbot Engineer Academy, which is something that I'm running here in Gwinnett County, but it could be ran from anywhere. It's helping more people get into tech on the basic level. And so thank you, Roland Martin, Roland Martin Unfiltered, for giving me that opportunity. I think it crashed my website because someone texted me like 3:00 this morning. Like, I was trying to go and register for the class, and the website is not coming. I'm like, oh my God, I think they crashed my site. But anyway, thank you so much. My guest today, Ms. Karen Chuk, she's going to be joining us to talk about all things AI and why we need to get ahead of the curve and why it's disrupting business right now. And what's crazy is it's so much tech out there right now in this space. And so when I get to talk to these amazing people who are doing great things in this space, it's always good to get everybody's perspective, because people see things differently. Like, even when I was talking to Roland last night, he was talking about, chatbots can't change the can't unplug the toilet or something, he said, which is funny. And I was like, no, but it can. He's like, not a chatbot. Because I said robot. He's like, not a robot, a chatbot. Well, no, a chatbot can't, but a robot can. So everyone has their own perspective on AI and where we're going. So my guest today is Karen Chuk, CEO of Karen Chuk Consulting. She is she worked in pharmaceuticals. She worked in healthcare. She's also a former VP of Fortune 10, which I've never heard of a Fortune 10. So I got to ask her what that is. What's a Fortune 10 company? So without further ado, welcome to the stage.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Audrey. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. So Karen, what's a Fortune 10? I've heard of Fortune 500, Fortune 100. I've never heard of a Fortune 10.
Oh, you know what? I was going to give you the answer right away, but then I thought, hey, you're the AI advocate and proponent. You should ask your chatty. Right? It's the top 10 company among the Fortune 500. So I've had the privilege of being the VP responsible for national specialty pharmacy services in Canada. So I'm a pharmacist by profession, and I'm a Christian, devoted Christian, and God has been leading me from one empire to another, from teaching hospital, including Princess Margaret Cancer Hospital, Toronto General, to startup, to Fortune 10. Before I even had the time to pause, God already pulled me to another empire. So it's been a wonderful journey. I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning, which is why I'm here to talk about AI, because I've been so fascinated by the speed of AI evolution and how we could utilize AI to help not just our professional life, but our personal life as well. So thank you for inviting me. I'm just so excited.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm glad you're here. When I think about our personal life, I think about Alexa and the smart speakers. That's what I think about, because I know for me, my husband, we have a Ring, and he discovered that if you have the Echo Show, if you tell Alexa to pull up the Ring on the Echo Show, it pulls up the video on the Echo Show. And I'm like, I didn't know that. And I'm the geek in the house, right? And he was like, did you know you could do this? I didn't know, but that's because I don't spend a lot of time with the show. He does. It's on his side of the bed. He's like, check this out. So when I think about, how AI can help at home, that's what I think about. Are there other ways AI can help at home before we jump into the business side?
Oh, I think there's so much. You talk about the smart home. A lot of people are already using AI power security. We were back in Asia this summer for a couple of months to visiting my parents, because after COVID, I don't know about you, but I cherish time spent with family and loved ones more so than ever. Yeah. So we spent time there. Now we live in Canada, but my family lives in Hong Kong. So you can imagine having that peace of mind to check your security app and making sure everything was checked. And sometimes I think the traditional way is you would ask your neighbors to keep an eye out for you, but then, hey, you shouldn't be putting the liability on your neighbors, right? Yeah. So that really gave me the peace of mind, and I could really truly enjoy my vacation with my family. So it was awesome. It was 3 months. We went to Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, just enjoying the time of our life.
It's so funny as you were saying it. I don't even think neighbors are the way they used to be. Like I live in a neighborhood. It's a nice subdivision. I know no one talks to anyone. Even when you try to be like, hi, it's like, so I don't even think neighbors are. When I grew up, where I grew up in the inner city, everybody knew everybody. Everybody watched out for everybody. Now everybody's really to themselves. So I thank God for Ring and shows and all that kind of stuff, because without that, it's like you're on your own.
Yeah.
I wanted to one of the things that intrigues me a lot is smart cities. Like I know about the smart homes. I love all the stuff that you can do with your refrigerator. Okay, you can tap the refrigerator, see what's in there, see
LG. Yeah.
amazing, right? But when I think about it from an economic development standpoint, I want to know about smart cities, right? What do you see AI playing into smart cities?
Well, I think smart city has a lot of great potentials when AI is intertwined into every aspect of the infrastructure, from looking at grocery to the inventory status, to how many customers you have, what are their preferences, where are they coming from, what's their demographic. Like, you can just go on and on and on and on. Now, in the past, traditional system allow us to look at these billions of data, right? But yet human minds may not be able to connect all these data and come up with what exactly these data are telling us. But with AI, it's got this speed of analyzing everything in super fast mode, and also be able to look at some of the things that we human may not have been able to foresee, or the patterns. So the underlying patterns that we should capitalize on. And that's the beauty of it. I love it so much that historically, and I think even now, a lot of organizations are using program where humans would have to tell the machine or that platform, hey, these are the specs that I want you to gather data. So gather for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Come back to me, spit out, and tell me what are some of the findings.
Yeah.
You know the challenge of that model?
With humans, hard.
Yeah. Hard to come up with what kind of specs to look for.
Yeah.
Hard to wait forever. Yeah. And the hardest part, when the findings came back, we realized that, oh no, these aren't the information I wanted. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning and then redo the whole cycle again and again and again. Now with AI, because it's so dynamic, it's almost like a multidimensional machine that could pull even a fraction of a data point and then extrapolate, letting us to know, you know what, here's an opportunity where you can magnify and capitalize on with a fraction of a time. So you can go from, okay, so let's investigate further. Let's dig deeper, right? So the time you're able to have that aha moment to another aha moment has drastically shortened, right? So then we're able to exponentially keep up with the creativity and be able to materialize what our vision can become. So I just love that so much, because I hate waiting. I don't know about you, but waiting is a waste of time. Like, we only have so much time available on Earth, so I don't want to wait. And which was one of the reasons why I just dive right into this AI Academy and learn everything, and or at least what we know right now about AI. Because the more we learn, the more we know there's so much to be learned, right? Yeah. And I think this is great that you're not just sharing with your audience about the importance of AI, but you're sharing this repeatedly because it is so important. It is. It is. And I was sharing with you earlier, your platform has gone beyond US. It's now in Canada, in Asia. It's a global platform. So you're helping a lot of people to be aware of what's going on and what they should be looking into. So I thank you for that. And I really appreciate you having this platform to open up access to everybody around the world.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for saying that. I think when I think about like the possibilities, like you were talking about the fraction of the time, right? I think that we haven't even scratched the surface. And I think that for smaller businesses like solopreneurs, they can't even wrap their head around what they're seeing right now in real time, like the graphics and the images and the videos. They can't even grasp that. If they start to go a little bit deeper, you will be surprised at what you find. And even for me, like when I think about because I'm like you, I'm all in, like I'm all in, both hands in with this whole AI thing, because I see the possibilities. And when I talk to people, I think they should see it too, and they don't. It's like I don't see it. I don't see what you see, because it doesn't pertain to my industry. It pertains to every industry. So let's talk about how it's going to disrupt like all of these different industries. Because I know you said right now AI is disrupting business, like right now.
Yes. And before we dive into that, I wanted to piggyback on what you just mentioned about solopreneur or small, medium-sized business owners. They are hard workers.
Yeah.
And a lot of time they have to keep up with operations. So they have to keep their heads down, keep up. And that's a good thing in the traditional model. Now that we're in the era of AI, we got to really, look up, look around, and look at what's happening. Because a lot of the time when companies are growing and making thriving business, that's usually the time when things are changing in the macro environment, where they have to be cognizant of what's going on, because that's where disruption is happening.
Right.
And case in point, right now, AI is doing exactly that, disrupting the industry. So I'm going to be repeating this message over and over again throughout this podcast. Is for everyone, including individuals, including mom and pop, including organizations, CEOs, or entrepreneurs, on and on, every human being on earth. Pay attention. Yeah. Don't just keep your heads down. Look up and find out what exactly is going on. Don't just watch the parade. You got to be, if you're not leading it, fine, but you need to be participating in it, because you don't want to be left behind. Now, there are a couple of things that I want to share with your audience before we dive into the industry trend. There are 3 key universal principles that all of us would agree on. No debate about that. 1, we don't know what we don't know.
True.
Right? 2, Albert Einstein, famous scientist. His famous quote, which I use a lot, is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right.
Now, I use that a lot since high school and all the way to my adulthood, because I always wanted to look at what are the better ways and innovative ways to solve this problem. How could we think outside the box? What if the past solution is no longer applicable to the future? So we got to spend that time to think about that. Now, the other piece was about change is the only constant in this world.
That's right.
Right? So I think with those 3 principles, it should be compelling enough for every single human being to give a good look at what's going on in AI. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm a very scientific person, so I like to share facts and stats. So do allow me, and I will ask you and see if you've been made aware of some of these interesting stats. You know, there was a PwC study talking about how AI is going to be contributing to the global economy. So how much, I think you've mentioned in one of your episodes, but I want to ask you and see what your latest answer is. How much did they anticipate the dollar amount is going to be for the global economy as a net new money to the global economy?
And I want to say, I'm trying to remember. I think I said 13 trillion or something crazy. It was
right on. Woohoo! Yes. I knew you knew the answer. That's why I asked you. So, and we're talking about 13.7 trillion with the T.
Yeah.
Right? And T. This is by 2030, year 2030. That's 6 years from now. Wow. We're not talking about 60 years. That's 6 years from now.
Yeah.
And I had to remind my clients, remind people that, hey, look up. We're talking about 15.7 trillion. Right. So if we don't capitalize on this opportunity, we're going to be missing the boat. The other interesting stat is that, a lot of people have anxiety, concern around, oh my God, AI is going to be replacing me. What am I going to do? Right? So the other interesting stat that I found out from McKinsey Global Institute report was that there's going to be estimated 950 million new jobs created because of AI. That's 950 million.
Wow.
Now, people will then be saying, okay, so how many jobs are going to be eliminated? Well, there's going to be anticipated of 800 million. That's going to be gradually fade out because of AI automation.
Yeah.
So, which means we still have a net. There's a positive net gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some people would say, okay, so what should I do? AI is going to replace my job. No, AI is not going to replace you. Someone who's got the skill set, or at least being AI literate, will likely have the high probability of replacing you.
Yes.
So we better be ahead of the game and find out, okay, what can I do to equip myself and innovate and reinvent myself, right? Because we cannot just be sitting in a passive mode. We've got to be constantly proactively learning and reinventing and making sure that, you're ahead of the game. Now, I wanted to make sure your audience are not scared by the stats, because this is just the way of life. I found another indirectly connected stats from the March 2023 Golden Sack report.
Mm-hmm.
They cited the census data suggests that nearly 60% of workers who's doing jobs that were never in existence back in 1940. So 60% of the jobs that we currently have, so
Yeah.
we learn from history. We gotta be aware. Don't just stay in the box and keep doing things the same old way. And a lot of examples we see: Uber, Lyft, Amazon, like everybody has reinvented themselves, even though people around them or organization around them, like they were just, turning a blind eye saying, what are they doing? Right. And they're being ridiculed. But hey, who's being ridiculed now?
Right.
Right. So I wanted to share those stats because it's so important to put things into perspective. If we don't know what we don't know, we'll continue to stay inside the well. So just lay some foundation to your audience. Now, you asked me to speak about industry disrupting, using AI to disrupt the industry. There are lots of example, some real life example in healthcare. So healthcare, you probably heard of the Zebra Medical Vision. Zebra Medical Vision actually got their algorithm approved by FDA, not just one algorithm, many algorithm approved by FDA. So their expertise is using AI to interpret medical imaging, CT scan, X-ray, so that early detection could be a thing of now. And this is not to replace radiologists or specialists, but to collaborate and support them. Because I'm not sure about US, but a lot of countries are having a backlog of physician specialists looking after patients, right?
Yeah.
So then this helps kind of shorten the wait time, and enable specialists to be able to work more efficiently. Because at the end of the day, specialists are all human, right? And by having this AI collaborations, really changing the game. And when you have FDA stamp on it, that says a lot.
First of all, I didn't even know that an algorithm had to be approved by anybody. I just thought it was like some technology so I didn't even know. So the FDA had to approve this healthcare algorithm in order for them to use it in this service. That is nuts.
So let's speak about this a little bit. Now, any smart company, if they want to stay away from lawsuits, liability, what should they go? They go to the governing party, right? To get approval, to say, hey, you know what? This was already vetted. It's all good. So not that they get off the hook, but at least they minimize or mitigate the risk, right? And also give the public or the end users that vote of confidence. So I found that very, very smart of this company, and they could use this. They use this for marketing purposes and whatnot. And when it comes to other startup, let's say algorithm, do they need to be approved? As far as I know, right now, there's no stipulations around whether it has to be or not. And which brings to another interesting topic. How could we make sure that the algorithm program into the system is legit? 1, legit. 2, ethical. 3, fair. 4, DEI incorporated. Now, I did a little test myself. So I try. I'm like you. I remember you said something about I got so many subscriptions, right? So I me too. I'm like a tech lover. Let's put it that way. So I like to test the system at multiple times before I really truly trust it. So I use Dolly and I also use Midjourney. This is for those of your audience who don't know what those are. Those are content or image generators supported by AI. So I plug in the prompt asking, I want you to create an image where groups of executive leaders are having a board meeting inside a nice boardroom. So guess what was displayed as an outcome of my prompt?
Men.
Yes, men,
White
and
men.
only Caucasian men.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, we're in 2023.
Yep.
So that really prompted me to think about, wait a second, what does GPT stand for? Generative, pre-trained, transformer. So the P is going to either please us or piss us. Right? Like if it was pre-trained by somebody who was not intentionally putting in what they learn, what they know, without realizing that it was not inclusive, it was not diversified, it was not like talking about fairness.
Right.
Hey, then we got to be careful, which is why, when in the whole scheme of things, I'm always very impartial. Opportunities always comes with challenges. It's how we manage the both, right? So the first step is to understand what it is that we're dealing with. Then we look at the opportunities and then also manage the challenges. So in this case, I was so well, I was not happy because there was no Asian, there's no female, and then I had to reprompt. I reprompt GPT and said, "Hey, listen, we're in a world of inclusivity, and I want you to make sure there's da 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 da." All my prompts revised, and then she goes, "Sure, Karen, let me redo it for you." And I have to reprompt until it reached to my liking. So one thing we have to keep in mind is that AI has the capability to support us and give us idea, but you really need to spend the time to validate, fact check, and also or retrain your GPT or retrain your AI tools, because there's thousands and thousands of AI tools, and I'm going to mention a couple of my favorite one later on. But we need to be not just passively using AI, but we have to collaborate and train. It's no different than being a mentor, if you will. So you got to mentor, you got to teach, you got to I wouldn't say discipline. You got to teach, you got to reteach, and you reteach again. And I think this is really key. One of the key message I want to share with your audience is that remember the P in GPT is pre-trained. Yes. So there could be underlying biases that were not intentionally plugged in. So, give mercy to the trainer, but you have to be aware of that, right? Yeah. So now get back to the AI disruption in different industry. We spoke about healthcare. Well, there's lots of example. There's AI power chatbots to look at symptoms, preliminary assessment of patient. There's triaging chatbots. Like there's so many. I think the challenge sometimes is how do we, one, ensure that the leading healthcare executives are on board, right? Politically speaking, and also how do they operationalize it? A lot of times, these apps or platforms, they're created by IT specialists. They're not necessarily a product of the end user. Right. So I'm not going to name names specifically, but there is this thriving AI startup that created a very promising product. It claimed to help healthcare providers in reducing wait time and increasing patient satisfaction. But at the end, it went bankrupt. So the lesson learned from that was because no end users, including clinicians, nurses, pharmacists, the healthcare provider, the multidisciplinary team members were involved in the production of this product. So when you have that happen, it's doomed to fail. we got to look at how do we look at existing process? How do we visualize the future could be, and then incorporate people from different industry to come up with that perfect model. I don't know if you've heard of Kareem Lahani, the Harvard Business School co-founder and chair of DCube. DCube stands for Digital Data Design. Yeah, the institute.
Mhm.
So their goal, the institute goal, is to help organizations thrive in the digital world and reinvent themselves so that they're not getting stuck on the dot. So what happened was that they look at how a lot of the executives, they are open to, so to speak, adopt AI, but they adopt AI as a coding of their existing process.
Mhm.
Now, if the process right now is due for change and you put a coding of AI, it's not going to help. What's
Mm.
going to help is to dismantle the current process
Mhm.
and then rebuild and interject AI into the whole new model. So that's another takeaway for a lot of us, is that don't just follow the AI buzz and then just use it for the sake of using it. Really examine the current organization process. How are you doing things? Why are you doing things this way? Is there a better way of doing things? And then look at, are there some of the processes that could be supported by AI? And that's the way to truly optimize the power of AI. If we only do it on the surface, it's just going to be so, running for so long, right? And if any of your audience wanted to learn more, I mean, Professor Kareem Lahani was so ahead of the game. Like many years ago, he was already talking about AI, and he actually got a book calling name "Competing in the Era of AI."
Nice.
Very interesting topic, and he even simplified how the general public should be learning AI. In one of the interview, he said learning AI is like learning how to swim and learning how to ride a bike, and it's actually important. Now, learning how to swim is a survival skill. Learning how to ride a bike, you could somewhat categorize that as learn how to survive. So I think if we don't at least give some efforts to learn about AI, to become at least AI literate, we're going to be regretting that we didn't.
And that's so important, because I talk to a lot of business owners, a lot of them are solopreneurs, and they are deathly afraid. Like they can't see where it fit, how AI can fit into their business. We had the AI summit here a couple of weeks ago, last month to be exact, the Georgia AI Summit. And what was interesting about that, there were people, it was a lot of tech people there, of course, because it was AI, some startups. So if you know anything about a startup, you know that when there's a startup and they're doing a fundraise, somebody on that team needs to know how to handle the money, right? And
Yeah.
there were people who couldn't see past the word AI to even see how they fit in the room. And I was like, I can't even understand. Like, you're in the business where you got to help people with something, right?
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
because of the word AI or the word tech, it shuts people completely out. So I know we want people, and we're doing our best to get this information out there, but I just feel that there are going to be some people who are going to be left behind because they just won't embrace
Yeah.
not even just the learning
Yeah.
of the simplest thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like we were just talking about, everyone is so busy in their own world,
Yeah.
right? They're missing the pieces that are happening, all over outside their own bubble. So I think one thing that it always stuck in me is that innovation always creates fears. Would you agree?
I do agree.
It creates fears, anxieties, and a lot of negative noises.
Yeah.
And you know why? I think as human beings, we're just so afraid of changes. We
Yes.
just want to be in our comfort zone. Like
Yeah.
me included, you included.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to be just, in a comfort zone? But then deep down inside, we know that we should not be just staying in our comfort zone. We're gonna keep learning, keep thriving, and the way that I try to empower my clients is to think of the alphabets, right? I got a toddler, 5 years old. Think of the baby step that they go learn ABC. Once they've mastered that, they learn how to write words. Then they learn how to write paragraph. Next thing you know is they're in university writing thesis paper, right? So let's not overwhelm ourselves of the end goal. That's where you want to go, but it is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Right? So you got to start somewhere. So I think the fear factor is where we need to think of how to overcome it.
Yeah.
My personal experience is to tackle it head on, learn about it, master it, and learn more about it.
Yeah.
There's no other way or easy way around it. There's no like what magic bullet or a pill that you could just take and oh, okay, I know everything. No, you got to put some sweat and tears and time to really hone on to the knowledge. There's no shortcut. So, but once you've spent the time, oh man, there's going to be shortcut in terms of AI power strategy, AI power solutions. Then you will regain your time. Like I always think about, there was a time when my back then 4-year-old toddler, I was working long hours, so like midnight in my home office. My toddler Oscar came and knocked. Like he usually wait till I'm ready, then go to bed with him. But he waited till midnight, knock on my office door, and then he was like, "Mom, why are you still working so late? I want you to stop working and come with me."
Nice.
And that just, I paused, and that felt like a sharp knife stuck, stabbed right through my heart. I'm like, yeah, what am I doing, Karen?
Yeah.
And to me, anything that helps me save time so that I could spend more time with my precious and loved one, I'm all in.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the audience could relate to that because we only have so much time available. Don't miss out on time spending with your loved ones, right?
Yeah. It's so funny when my daughter, she was in, I think, 3rd grade. And so right around that time, I was heavily into the business. Everything was business. And so I get a call from her teacher and I go to the school and they said, she's slipping in her grades. And I'm like, why? And she said you work a lot. And I went back to work and I cried like a baby. And I called one of my good friends and she's like, what's wrong? I said, the baby said I work a lot. So what I had to do, I had to pivot. So when she would get out of school, it was just mommy and me time. And when she went to bed at 8 o'clock, mommy was back on the clock to 5 o'clock in the morning. Mommy went to sleep. Mommy woke up and took her to school and started all over again. But I had to make that pivot. Yes. Now we have tools that are available to us, so we don't have to do that. And I think a lot of people are missing out on the fact that these tools can help them be more productive, more efficient, and give them back some of their time. Exactly. If I could go back and change some things, I probably would, because she told me, you work too hard, you were never there. And I'm like, oh my God, I felt horrible.
You said it. We work too hard. Now my parents are very, very liberal. And that's probably why I end up creating my own self-discipline model inside. and I work my butt off to get to the top of everything. As mentioned to you before, my last 2 roles were Fortune 10 VP. But then I realized, a lot of us feel proud of wearing this badge of hard work.
Yeah.
Is that the right thing? If there's a smarter way of doing things, why are we putting in 60 hours, like so much into our life? Every working. Before you know it, your kids are already grown up. I've got a 12-year-old, so that's why I could just have a second chance now. With my first child. Okay, let me tell you a side story. With my first child, because I still have the mentality of Hong Kong, even though I came to Canada in grade 9, I thought to myself, Hong Kong only has 10 weeks mat leave. I'm going to have 52 weeks. What am I going to do with my time? So then I applied to the Rotman Business School at U of T, University of Toronto, for their MBA for executives. And I got in. Oh, man. I only slept like 3 broken hours a day. And everyone thought I was crazy. I didn't think I was crazy. I'm like, no, I'm making good use of my time, And then inside my class, there were other crazy mom as well. They were one already deliver and the other one was about to deliver. So I didn't feel so crazy when I'm surrounded by other so-called crazy people. But then I'm like, I think unless we experience it, we learn the lesson, then we'll be able to stay more mindful of it. So second round came about. Um, Oscar was born, and then I was asked by the senior VP to take on a VP role. It was just a casual conversation. Hey, do you think you're going to be coming back a little bit earlier? Casual, okay, casual
Mhm, mhm.
conversation. And sure enough, I did. Um, I just feel like we, especially women, women leaders, we want so much to be done. We want to achieve so much
Yeah.
professionally, personally. Like there's no stopping to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes we put self-care at the bottom of the list. Like
Yeah.
I'm one of them. And I'm still learning to make sure that I take care of myself and not just go, go, go. Um, and I think that with the proper leverage of AI tools, we'll be able to regain back some of these precious time. We'll be able to have some me time,
Yes.
right? To
Yeah.
have these bonding time with your loved ones, which I mean, I'm telling you, I'm taking this chance to make the most of my life. Although I look young, guess how old I am?
I won't guess, but you do look young.
But you know what? I think my record or my bio gave away how old I am. But I
No,
just
it
feel that
didn't. Actually, it didn't.
no, sometimes a joke, at the beginning of some big meeting, just to lighten up the atmosphere, I said to people, "Hey, I'm actually 65." People would be like, "What?" Because I
Right.
got the Asian gene, right? So
Right.
sometimes it's a good icebreaker. So I'm not getting any younger. So I want to make the most of every minute of my
Yeah.
life. Who knows what might happen next? I just don't want to leave any regrets. So same goes to every person who's on this podcast. Think of how you want to live your life, how to optimize your life. Don't leave any regret. If you don't know about AI, like find out about it. Right now, the next segment, I'm going to be talking about some of the AI tools that you should learn a little bit about, like explore and experiment with it. Because if you don't play around with it, you don't know what you're missing out, right? And then you'd be
Mhm.
surprised how much time you regain back, and then so you don't have to be working the 60 hours a week just to keep up with everything, right?
Yeah.
So um there's so much I want to talk about. Like I think I got to make sure I'm on track on time. So good, 10:38. We were talking about how healthcare is disrupting industry. We're
Mhm.
also talking about
Yeah.
financial industry. They're already using AI power fraud detection
Mhm.
system, and that has already saved tons of money. A lot of times we know there's smart people out there, the bad people out
Yeah.
there is trying to hack the system. So this AI power fraud detection system is going to be a game changer. And then the other piece is about the retail. Amazon was the pioneer on this, right?
Mhm.
And 35% of their sales are solely driven by AI.
Really?
Yes, they use AI to look at customer pattern, their purchase, their buying pattern, and
Mm.
they customize the products and then bring it up to their attention. And
Yeah.
that's how they could keep up with milking that
Mm.
money making channel, right? And in the past, in the old days, you look at producing everything out of the sun and hoping that someone would buy a few items off your shelf. But now the industry had changed because what the stats are telling you. This is a group of people who like product A with spec 1, 2, 3, 4, the color, so that you can look at all these market data and then reverse engineer creating products that are off the customer like. So how cool is that? You don't even have to keep up with inventory. You don't have to spend so much time on designing. You don't have to be just wasting money on materials on the products, right? So thinking smartly and innovatively is the way to go, and not to go back to the old days. So 35% is a huge testament of how AI could truly revolutionize any business.
Even when I hear you talk about that part, right? I think about people who have Amazon businesses on Amazon. So you got people who have their Amazon stores and Amazon affiliates and Amazon, because Amazon, listen, I know some people don't like Amazon, but for me, Amazon will give you a business opportunity. Amazon, where you can shop and buy anything. So there are people who spend a lot of time building businesses on top of the Amazon platform. When I think about what you just said, they have these Amazon stores, and the Amazon know that somebody just bought the pink shirt, and they also like the blue shirt with the specs on it, and they also like that shirt. So if I'm
Yeah.
a store owner on Amazon, that's music to my ears, because I get it. If Amazon's making money, I'm making money. So they're gonna push everything towards that person, because now they know what they like. I love it.
Yeah. You notice that they always do bundle recommendations. You
Yes.
buy something, they
Yep.
bundle it up with item 2 and 3. And I always look at them like, you got me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
they can read your mind, and then if you decided to just park it for now, they'll send you a follow-up message saying, hey, you left something behind, right?
Yep.
So there's so much personalization that is targeting customers to the T, and which is why I love it so much, because it's almost like it's like a sniper approach. I like sniper approach as opposed to generalized approach. Sniper
Mhm.
approach, you really get what you want and what you need, and then it's a sure win. If you do a generalized, just shooting, you probably might miss all of it and not even get one down. So
Right.
I know. I'm just so fascinated by AI and how it could really change the game. And recently, I've used AI to help revamp my company website, and it saves me a lot of time. I didn't have to start from scratch. I could really just share my thinking and then pivot and refine. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing. The tools will remain to be tools. Is the person behind, our human brains, who's going to be putting in the prompt, specifying what we want and how we want to refine. That's going to output the masterpiece. Because a lot of people have this misconception thinking that, oh no, AI is just going to boom, create something out of nothing.
And it
Yes
doesn't happen
and
like
no,
that.
right?
Right. It doesn't. And I think about when you say about the web designers, like even with that, right? You would think that with all the great technology out there and the tools out there, that you can go in there and prompt in your own stuff, your website. Even that person who can do that, they still may not understand some of the things that need to go on a website. So
Yeah.
you're still going to need the web designer. What that's going to do is make the web designer more efficient and quicker.
Yes.
Now, is it going to cut into their money? Probably, because now I don't have to pay you $16,000 for a website. Even though I don't know who does that anyway these
Yeah.
days, but
Yeah.
because now we got AI that's going to cut down the time, cut down the manpower. It's quicker. So
Yes.
it's not a 30-day process anymore. It's like 3 days, because
Yeah.
we're going to prompt it. But I think for people who are listening and they're thinking that AI is going to replace them, if you look at it as an enhancement to what you already do, because here's what I know for a fact, Cameron. I don't care how many tools we have out there. Somebody is not going to use those tools. And then somebody is going to have to use those tools to support that other somebody. Right. And I give you a prime example. I have a friend. She's in the travel industry and she loves travel. And I say to her all the time, just go to Canva and do the flyer. And she will not do it. She's like, I don't want to do all
Love
that.
Canva.
She will not, but she won't do it. So she's always my prime example of the tool is there, but it does not matter,
What
because
was her what was the reason for not wanting to give it a try?
just don't want to spend the time to figure out how to make the flyer work.
Ah,
And
okay.
with Canva, it's so easy, but for her, it's not easy. So there are always going to be people who are going to need you, even though we have all this amazing technology. They're still going to need you.
It goes back to the point about putting out the upfront effort,
Yeah.
right? Are we willing to put out the upfront efforts in order to reap the reward down the road? If we don't even spend that effort up front, then sorry, can't help you, right?
Right.
but, but I think the other piece of that is that there's so many tools out there. It's important to start small, or maybe you can find somebody who knows a little bit more about that, and just to guide you through, right? And once you get your feet wet, then you feel a little bit more comfortable. Then gradually, hey, you're swimming. So
Yeah.
it's all about taking that first baby step. Like, don't worry about too much work up front. It's not. It's not going to be as complicated as non-AI program learning. Now we're talking about AI supported learning, right? They even have chatbot to ask you, okay, you're doing great. What can I help you? What are you looking for? So how much more can we ask for, right? I wanted to mention about the website developer thing. When you mentioned that, I thought, hey, any website developers who are willing to learn about AI, okay, they could do double, if not triple, the business,
Yep.
right? It's
Mhm.
not like they're going to be completely, washing their hands. No, they're going to be doing more volume in a fraction of the time with the
Yeah.
leverage AI. Now,
Yes.
obviously, there should be. I think there's discussion around transparency, right? The website developer could tell his or her clients about the leverage of AI, so that they know that the outputs is collaboration between the human brain and the AI brain. So
Yeah.
that touch into the ethical aspect, right? And I know a lot of the digital platforms are instilling transparency governance so that people would know that, oh, this was created by AI or together with AI. And even with Amazon Kindle, the right publishing, they have
Mhm.
already put that in place. And I
Mhm.
love that, because you want to be able to increase access for everybody in terms of learning the knowledge and all that. But at the same time, you want to be able to give proper credit to those who are truly talented, whether they use or not use AI.
Yeah.
Right. And an interesting thing I found out was that a lot of artists, or mostly in the artistic industry, they get very offended because of AI, right? And I would too, if my work is being taken and feed into the AI system in order to populate something similar, I would be offended too. So there's this new platform created by a university professor. Is called Nightshare. Nightshare. Have you heard of
Mm-mm.
it? So
Haven't heard
Nightshare
of that one.
essentially is protecting artists by putting a layer of pixels whereby AI cannot interpret what it is. So then if they can't interpret what it is, it cannot be feed into their system, and
Mm.
therefore they can't repopulate something similar, right? So I
Mm.
think I love it when something is created, something else counteracted, and then something else can come back. That's how ingenious our human minds are, because when there's one problem, there's another solution. Another solution will lead into another solution. So I love the fact that people are staying innovative and thinking outside the box. Now, is it going to poison the system in such a way so that another end users wanting to create a similar image would end up getting an incorrect version? Now, that's an
Mm.
ethical question, right? There's a lot to be addressed, but hey, if we don't keep revolutionizing and looking at what are the opportunities and challenges, we won't be able to perfectionize the system. I always like to go back thinking, if we were still in the horse riding stage and getting stuck on that, we would never be able to come to the stage of electrical vehicles, right? Even autopilot.
Right.
So, there's always challenges along the way when EV is being manufactured. There's minor issues and all that. But hey, that's part of growth and part of process, right? And
Yeah.
look at snail mails. Now instant messaging,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I remember my aunt on my dad's side, when I visited her back in Hong Kong. This was like probably like many, many years. I don't want to date myself. Back in the days, we used fax. So
Yes.
my dad would fax me letters from Hong Kong to here, Canada, and then we would fax back. And then my aunt, who's my dad's sister, would ask me, "So how does the paper get fly around in the air? Like how does that happen?" Like, honestly, I didn't think of it that way. Because I was already introduced by that concept, I
Right.
didn't think of how the logistic,
Right.
happen, right? But now fast forward, what is fax? Well, although our Canadian pharmacy system still use fax and digital fax, um, it is something that reminds us we're evolving along the way, and we're refining the system. There is always going to be challenges. There's always going to be issues. The focus is to look at how could we address these issues? How could we solve it? How could we pivot? And not to go back and say, no, I want to just stick with horse riding. I just want to stick with snail mail. I just want to do repetitive tasks. That's what we need to keep reminding ourselves. We cannot grow if we get stuck on the dot, right? So ethical issues, considerations, all that. Yes, all those problems will always come with innovation. No doubt. It's always happened throughout history. We just need to fix, address, and thrive. Now, I know I wanted to mention a couple of my favorite AI tools. If you allow me to share with your audience, because I could just go on and on. I'm very talkative, as you can see. So there's this AI tool called Crystal Knows. Crystal Knows is an AI tool whereby, let's say I'm meeting a new client. I really want to learn about their culture or their personality, their preference. What should I say? What should I not say? It's no different than someone from America. I go to Asia, wanted to do the homework up front, then be able to win the deal, right? So Crystal Knows is an AI tool where you can use on anyone's LinkedIn profile. Okay, you just copy and paste their LinkedIn URL, and then it'll tell you a very concise analysis of this individual based on the DISC personality analysis.
Really?
And let me tell you, whoa, it blew my mind. It's like 99.
What is it called? Crystal Knows? Crystal Knows?
Crystal Knows is like 99.9 accuracy percentage. And if you already know someone who's a straight shooter, if you already know someone who just want to get to the end point, then you're going to speak like that, right? But if someone likes to chit chat or they're more introvert, then hey, then you take the time, you work out the introduction, then you speak their language. And I find it so interesting. Now, some people might think, oh, this is manipulative. Well, depending on how you look at it, the way I look at it is doing my homework up front. If I need to learn about the individual's background, the culture, what they prefer, then I got to do this homework anyway. But this AI helps me to understand better.
So what if the person does not have a completely filled out LinkedIn profile? Like,
then they're missing. Well, then we're missing out. They're missing out. Then we got to go back to the old-fashioned way, right? But you know that LinkedIn has so many. I think they've reached like so many million members now. Every professional person already has LinkedIn. If they don't, they should, right? And those should be your target, majority of your target clients and prospect, right? So I think this technology is going to evolve to other platforms so that it's not just limited to LinkedIn. And the way I see it is because LinkedIn has been growing so quickly. That's why this company decided to target LinkedIn as the first, sample, and probably move on to other ways of analyzing. But man, it will just blow your mind. Try it. I love it so much.
I'm going to try today. Crystal Knows. Okay.
Crystal Knows. Now, the other platform that I love, and mostly for anyone who needs to deal with data. So this would be your organizations, leaders, your entrepreneurs, your business owners, something called ThoughtSpot. So ThoughtSpot is an AI-driven analytics whereby it would take in all your data and then give you the analysis, the patterns, the trends, the projections. So remember what we were talking about, how the traditional way of looking data analytics is having a set of questions, put in the data, and wait for the analysis to come out. Here is very different. You've got an ocean and billions of data points, and the AI analytics would then help you connect the dots. And they'll even prompt you or let you know that, hey, this is my finding. Are you aware? So this will help save a lot of time for business owners, organization leaders to really look at, okay, what is the data telling me? Even if there was a 0.1% data point, it could be a hidden gold mine, right? A lot of times, we humans have biases and we overlook things that are not showing significance at the time of, But then we realized, hey, this is actually something that we can further grow into a masterpiece. So this is definitely something that I would encourage your audience to look into. And then something that was just released yesterday. It's called Chat with RTX. It was created by a startup company Cohere. Basically, what it does is that instead of using GPT data, allows you to use your own data. So you feed in your own documents, your audios, your videos, everything you want the bot to know, and then it would tailor it to your like. So now you're the trainer. You're the one who's feeding in the data, and you're not putting any potential biases or unreliable data or outdated data. Like,
Right.
that's another thing. Like ChatGPT is only as good as this last version updated, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't have the latest information. So definitely this is to watch for. And then Aya. I don't know if this is how it's pronounced properly. It's spelled AYA. Aya or
Aya.
Aya. So because the open AI is primarily programmed in the language English and Chinese. So what about the rest of the world?
Right.
Right? So this particular AI tool is open to instructions in more than 100 languages.
Wow.
It's newly released. So imagine people who have no idea what this was about, now they can really utilize it. And that's what I love about it, because it's really having a playing level educational feel for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to be in certain country to be able to learn. Now, again, reminder, we got to fact check, right? We got to make sure that we are the owner and overlooking at whether the data is being shared by AI is correct before we proceed. That's always a friendly reminder. So I think this AI space is moving so fast that we got to keep up. Like, there's going to be thousands of AI tools coming out in every week and in the coming months. So if we don't even spend the legit amount of time to understand what AI is and how it could help us, we're going to be falling behind. And just a reminder for everybody, AI might seem like a frightening term. AI, oh my God, right? It's not. We've been using AI whether we know it or not, right? We're using AI in our phone. We're using AI when we shop online. We're using AI in our home. It's already part of our life. So we got to just step outside of our comfort zone. And then for business owners, like the one you mentioned, right? She didn't want to use Canva. Think of advertisement. You know, in the old days, you have to hire professional advertisers, right?
Yep.
Pay thousands of dollars. There's this AI tool called adcreative.ai. It creates interactive, personalized ad that's so professional.
Yep.
That will just blow your mind. So there's just so much out there. And I know in your other episodes, you've mentioned some of the ones that I also like. So I'm not going to repeat those. I think all in all, just go after something that speaks to your heart. If you're in the designing industry, look for some AI tool that's for designer. If you're in sales and marketing, look at something that helps sales and marketing. Maybe start somewhere that you feel connected to, and then grow from that. And there are a lot of advisor out there, me included, you included, you know.
Yeah.
So just reach out if you want someone to point you to the right direction. And that's my honest recommendation.
Man, this has been amazing. Like, I'm over here writing notes and because it's
You didn't use Otter? You used Otter.
I didn't use Otter. Like, I didn't use Otter because I'm using StreamYard. So I don't even know StreamYard has that.
Having fun. No, there's no limit, and I know I'm down to the 1 minute now. So yeah, I'm so happy and pumped that I get the chance to speak to another AI advocate and proponent. I really hope that this message will spread to those who might feel intimidated or fearful to learn about AI. We're here to tell you that it's not that scary. You just have to take the first baby step. And I can reassure you that you will not regret this baby move.
it's really exciting. So listen, I hope you guys got a lot out of this interview, because she dropped some wisdom, she dropped some nuggets, she dropped some resources. I'm gonna go check out, especially Crystal Knows. Like that's like, ooh, wait a minute, and Thought Spot. So I'm gonna check those out. Karen, how can they reach out to you? Because I know that they need you.
Yes. So for those of you who wanted to reach out to me, you can message me through my website. My website is kccinnovate.com. KCC stands for Karen Chuk Consulting. So I'll make it short, kccinnovate.com. Send me a message. I'll be happy to be your second opinion or advisor.
Listen, send her a message, kccinnovate.com. Karen, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate this interview and everything you're doing in this space. You guys have to forgive me. I think I got the flu, so I'm over here wiping my nose the entire time. So please forgive me. Don't hold that against me.
You are a trooper. You're a trooper. I thank you. I thank you.
My daughter called me this morning. She's like, how you feel? I said, I feel like crap, but I got an interview to do, so I'll pull it together by that time. So I had to pull it together.
You nailed it. Thank you so much, Audrey, for this time.
Thank you for having me. So listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Miss Karen Chuk. Please visit her website, reach out to her. All of the guests that I've had on, these people are living in AI every day like me. So reach out to them, get your questions answered. Make sure that you don't get left behind, because it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. And I want you guys to be a part of the plan. So do not sleep on AI, because as you can tell, we got smart refrigerators, smart towns, smart everything. It's not going anywhere. So I'll be back again on Monday. And I have another great guest coming on Monday, so be sure to tune in. If you don't want to miss an episode of this show, subscribe to the show. Wherever you listen to podcasts and watch videos, subscribe to the show. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Good Morning Gwinnett. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Good Morning Gwinnett. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Good Morning Gwinnett, and Instagram. So we're streaming live on all these platforms right now. I'll be back again Monday. This is my weekend. Today starts my weekend. Tomorrow,
Get some rest.
I am. I'm going to take some more. So I'm going to take this stuff called Buckley's. It's disgusting, but it helps you. It helps a lot. So I'm going to go take me some Buckley's, crawl back into bed for a couple of hours, and kind of sweat it out. Yeah. Karen, thank you again. Have a wonderful day.
It's my pleasure.
And guys, listen, I'll be back again Monday, same place, same time. So be sure to connect with me. And listen, y'all stay safe out there. Don't catch a cold like me. And until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
You've been watching or listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show today and share it with your friends by going to www.goodmorninggwinnett.com.